Well, good morning and welcome to Ed's Orchids. It's a beautiful day here today. The sun's shining, there's no wind, and I've put the Cymbidiums outside for the first time this year, and they'll be staying here till I take them back into the greenhouse when the weather becomes a bit too bad. Now I've got these outside now because they're mainly grown outside, these plants, and growth starts in spring and spreads right through to the summer months. And in this period, water becomes very essential to them. And like other orchids, they can be temperamental if you're doing them with tap water. Because as you know, tap water is full of chemicals and one thing and another, just to make it fit for human consumption. So rainwater and oral water is the best option for them. Now during this growth period, they should be fed probably every week with whatever is your choice, but remember that they always require a bit of calcium, and calcium is not available in a lot of fertiliser that are sold for orchids these days. So just check on what you're feeding them just to make sure there is a little bit of calcium in. If there isn't, then I just suggest you give them a nice dose of calcium nitrate. Not too much, 180 parts per million, probably once a month. You can probably hear all the birds singing now, so I'll carry on because a lot of people like it. I think most people like it. Anyhow, for potting, I use a medium for these plants of a medium bark and added perlite and grow stones. Some people also like to use sphagnum moss, but I hate the stuff really, for the simple reason it's due to its acidic decaying properties, which is very good root destroyer. I don't think these plants need repotting every year or two, for the simple reason that, it's a couple of years ago, it's more than a couple of years ago now, it must be 5 years ago, when I went to the bowling club, there was an old lady there said, can you repot me Cymbidiums for me? I said, how long have you had them? She said, oh, about 10 years. I said, have they ever been repotted? She said, no, they're still in the same pots and they flower every year on my windowsill. So we split them and repot them for me. So I brought it back home and I couldn't get it out of the pot. But when I did get it out of the pot, which I had to saw right through the pot to get to it. The only thing that was in the pot were roots. Absolutely no medium whatsoever. The roots had just taken control of everything. So really, you know, from what I've experienced there, these don't need repotting every 3 or 4 years, that's all, even if you do it that. In the wild, as you know, they are distributed across the eastern parts and the Far East and also into Australia. There are some called, well, there's a few species actually, what they call Chinese Cymbidiums, but these are not exclusively found in China. But there are two sizes of Cymbidium. There's what they call the miniature ones, which grow in warmer climates and don't require a great fluctuation of temperatures to bloom, and the larger ones, which these are. And these need a real good temperature fluctuation to get them into blooming condition. And I mean get them down to near freezing them at winter months, which will really help them to promote the blooming. Well, during the 18th century, these were known as small boat orchids, and it was derived from the word cymbidium, where cymbi is the Latin for boat, and idiom is the Latin for little. So they were known as little boat orchids due to the shape of their labellum or lip. Your Cymbidiums will come in a vast array of colours. Reds, yellows, whites, a mixture of everything, but you'll never find them being blue. They do, however, like warm temperatures, but make sure you never get them in the sunshine. Since beginning to look after these plants, which I really ignored for a few years, and all the leaves were all bad and twisted and brown and all sorts of colours. After keeping them in the right conditions, I find now that all the leaves on them are totally unmarked. And whether they stay like this throughout the year, I'll not know. Only time will tell, because Cymbidiums are prone to a lot of parasitic diseases, which affects the leaves and makes them look very untidy. They like a humidity of around 50%, something like that. So if you're keeping them outside, I would recommend you spray them every morning with a good quality water. It's got to prove beneficial to them. And depending on where you live in the world, the flowering times will naturally differ. So here in the north of England, we find them flowering in the winter and spring months here. And well, there's not much more to tell you about Cymbidium, so we'll just have a quick look at some of these plants. This is one I just stuck a back bulb in last year, and this has made a nice growth. All the leaves are lovely and green, standing up nicely. The next one, look at the colour of these leaves, absolutely beautiful. If they're not getting enough light, these plants, your leaves will be very, very dark green. And this is the colour it should be, a very nice light green and not yellow. If there's any yellow on them, they're getting too much light. And this is the one that's just coming up with a new growth there. This is another where I stuck back bulbs in, and this has put a nice growth up. This is a real old plant. This probably has one or two marks on the old leaves. Yep, here we are. You can see those. No marks on the new leaves. This is the one that flowered last year, absolutely beautiful. There's another one here. We'll not go through them all, they're much of a muchness. But they're all doing very, very nicely. So the only thing for me to do now is thank you very much for watching. Thank you to all my subscribers. And until I see you next time, you take care. Bye.